Folks, welcome to our show today. We are doing things a little bit differently, Jeff and I. On today's show, we're at Smokin Tex Electric Smokers headquarters in Plano, Texas. Now, if you've read much of what I do in the newspapers and in the magazines, Jeff, in the last 2 decades, you've read about me bragging on Smokin Tex Electric Smokers. I've used them. Folks, Jeff has got the original model of Smokin Tex, the 1400, that these folks, Diz and Scott, that you're about to meet in just a little bit, they nicknamed that unit Mayflower because I've had it so long, Jeff. I've cooked hundreds, maybe thousands of pounds of meat, and Jeff revamped Mayflower, didn't you?
I did, and it works absolutely fantastic. And folks, the meat that comes off that smoker is incredible. So we're about to meet the owner, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different products that they have, and some of the accessories that they have. And folks, I tell you what, these smokers are top notch. They're quality built. They are an amazing smoker. So Luke, let's step inside. It's a little bit noisy out here, but let's step inside. Let's meet our friends at Smokin Tex. Let's talk a little bit about their smokers.
Diz and Scott, they'll be inside. So
All right.
Let's go in.
Let's head on in, folks.
Well, folks, we made it inside Smokin Tex's headquarters, and we have my buddy Scott and Diz. Now, I've known these guys for about 15 years. Diz, it was a cold winter's day when I pulled up out there years ago and met you, and I wanted to see the Smokin Tex Electric Smokers, and I was presented with Mayflower. That's the one that's the 1400 model that I've cooked, my gosh, hundreds of pounds of meat on. Then I met Scott, and then we got to be friends, but I've used these forever, and it's interesting maybe a little bit about how Smokin Tex got started, and they've been around a long, long time.
That they have. We've been around about 20 years now. We've got about somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 smokers out there, all different sizes.
A lot of them 20 years old and still going strong. I mean, we've got folks that call in. Just last week I had a guy call in, his unit was 19 years old, and he was putting in a new heating element. So we build them to last. We build them to cook. We like that we consider it a lifetime purchase product. We still have that mentality that you're as good as what you build, and we stand behind our product. So.
You know, Scott, one thing that I would like all of our friends watching to know, there are cheaper electric smokers on the market.
Yeah.
But I wish they could all be here and just grab this door or this hinge and feel it.
In the latch.
These Mayflower, which is, I keep referencing Mayflower, mine that I've had forever, the 1400. Now I have a 1460, which I do now more cooking for big groups of people. But you buy one of these, folks, I'll promise you, you're not going to be buying another one unless you're going to plan to live a long, long time.
Or you want a bigger one.
Or a bigger one. And people do that. And that was me. The 1400 is great for families and all that, but sometimes I'll need to cook several. I cook very few briskets, but I cook a lot of wild pork, you know, and I'll load that thing up. So when you buy one, folks, you're going to buy something that you're going to keep forever.
Well, you can, we get a lot of people that, I bought 1 or 2 of these X brands from this Y big box store, and they just keep failing. And then they come to us, and it's the last one they buy.
Yes. and the simplicity of these, the quality's built in, but the simplicity of these things, the smoke box, I call it a smoke wood box. You just I cut wild plum wood, pecan strip, just pieces of wood, and you load that up one time and put it in Smokin Tex. And I used to think, well, just that little amount of wood, six ounces of wood, I'm gonna have to do it again. You'll make it too smoky.
It's surprising, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but this chamber is so dense.
Yeah, we do a good job. This is double wall stainless steel, insulated 850 plus degrees. We do a good job of capitalizing on that environment. Keeping the moisture in there with the food, using the heat that's developed from the element. We don't have to run the element all the time, and just a little bit of smoke. And that wood will, like you said, you'll feel like you're chewing on one of those grape branches.
If you one time load it up, and that's
you said
good.
plum, yeah.
Yeah, right. I do use plum, but I've used all kind of wood. Jeff, I want Jeff to get in, and the original model, Mayflower,
Right.
who may go in the Smithsonian one of these days. Mayflower is on Jeff's Bucking Bass Ranch on the porch of that.
Nice.
And now when we shoot a hog, it's in about 12 hours later the next morning, it's pulled pork. Jeff, tell them about how your renovation of Mayflower. You did a great job, but it's the same old smoker, it just looks a whole lot better.
Okay, folks, well, here we are. We've got, this is the Smokin Tex that I have refurbed. It was Luke's old Mayflower, as you guys call it, and it is absolutely solid. It is one of the most amazing smokers it is the most amazing smoker I have ever used. So we refurbished it, and we took it out to my place, out at the ranch, and as Luke alluded to, we are shooting hogs regularly and putting this bad boy to use. So this is the model 1400, correct?
That's correct.
Diz, can you tell us a little bit about this particular model?
Yeah, this was our original design 20 years ago, and there's very little change that's taken place. As we mentioned earlier, if anyone needs a new heating element, for example, it's available for this unit. We've not redesigned or reconfigured the important items within a unit. It was originally stainless steel. It's still stainless steel. It's fully insulated to the point where our Alaska customers tell us it actually works outside at 40 below zero. So we feel that's an important attribute. We've never changed. We've never gone to a cheaper grade of steel or insulation. This is a product we intend to continue forever and ever. But it's our original design.
So Diz, is this the largest one then that you guys
No.
manufacture? So there's others. Folks, we want to cover all of the different products that they have, but I was just kind of curious where this one falls in the spectrum of size.
Yeah, this one's kind of like our middle one. We have one
Okay.
smaller, and we have a couple of units that are even larger, and we have a commercial line for restaurants and that kind of thing.
Well, folks, we're going to take a commercial break here. We're going to be back in just a moment, and I want to ask Diz and Scott to kind of, spend some time going over the different models that they have. I see there's around here, we've got a couple smaller ones, and I guess there's a larger one back
Yeah.
there. So I want to know what the difference is in some of these. So let's take a commercial. We'll be right back, folks.
Well, friends, I want to show you what I use for night hunting. This is the Wraith by Sightmark. It's a digital, it's not thermal, but you can use it for daytime hunting. It has a color mode. It's color during the day, and at nighttime for shooting hogs and predators I've killed them out to 125 yards, but I sight in for that distance. You could shoot them a lot farther. Go online to learn more about the Wraith. You can go to sightmark.com and check them out. Absolutely awesome hunting tool for day or night. Well, folks, it is Luke Clayton, and I want to show you something right here that I am very, very proud of. My gearhead bow. I've taken a couple of hogs with it, and I'm deer hunting. I'm down at the Bucking Bass Ranch at a buddy of mine's, and I'm going to be deer hunting. Let me show you something here. Now, this is the coolest thing in the world, and the first time I have ever shot a bow with a shoot-through riser. I'm going to look right at you here. there's a riser here, there's a riser here. Look at the arrow on this gearhead bow, right in the middle. And if you think that doesn't make a difference, you know, for many, many years, me and I guess every other bow hunter been shooting one side of the riser or the other. This thing shoots straight through. Folks, check them out online. This is the bow that I hunt with, and I've got a lot, I love it, lots of confidence in it. GearheadArchery.com. Okay, Diz, this is the smallest Smokin Tex electric smoker, the 1100.
That's correct.
And obviously it's not made for cooking 4 briskets or cooking a large amount of food, but I've eaten food cooked on these. It tastes just like the one on the 14. It does just as good a job, but for a smaller application, right?
That's right, Luke. This will do about 25 pounds. And it was really designed as our answer to getting to the lowest price we could for an electric smoker. But this is the unit that if you've got an RV and you want to take it with you, if you want it more mobile and you want to take it up to a lake house or a hunting lodge, you can. And it'll do the same quality as all of our other models. The recipes are exactly the same from one model to the next.
Folks, we're back. So, Scott, what is this model we have here? So we've covered the 1100, we've covered the 1400.
That's correct.
Which is the Mayflower.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is, which
This
model
is our
this?
1460. The Mayflower, the 1400 is probably our most popular unit. Sell about 7 or 8 of those to every other one. But some folks, we used to go to a much larger smoker, from the 1400 to a really big dual element unit, and it was a bit of too much of a jump for folks. So we developed this one to fall kind of in the middle. Now this one has the same depth rack, but it's about 3 inches wider. And instead of 5 racks, it'll hold 7. So it's a 14.5 by 17.5 inch rack, 7 racks. Fully loaded, Jeff, you could do 4 15 to 17 pound briskets, 8 to 10 pound butts, even 14 racks of baby backs. To me, the price point, the size, the quality, this is the perfect home size.
Okay.
If you want to entertain much, or if you just like to cook, it's not expensive to operate. The 1400 is a good size. You can just do that much more in this.
Understand. So are the heating elements in all of these the same? I mean,
The 1100 is the only one that has a different element. It's a little bit smaller, but the remainder of our product line, all the way through, even through some of our commercial units, use the same format heating element, same wattage and shape and everything else. Just the biggest units use 2 instead of 1.
Understand. Okay, this is fantastic. So, but everything pretty much, as far as all of the smokers here,
They
have
all
the
work the
same,
same.
basically work the same.
It's something we care about a lot, Jeff. If a user or a customer buys an 1100 and they learn to cook on that for 2 or 3 years, they carry it around in their RV, all of a sudden they find themselves stationary and they're thinking, hey, I want to buy something a little bit bigger. We want that transition to be as natural as possible.
Sure.
Whatever they did in their 1100, they go home, they can do the same exact thing in the 1460 and it'll work the same every time.
They can have a bigger party though.
Yeah, a lot bigger party. They can feed the whole RV lot
There
with
you
this
go, there
thing.
you
Yeah.
go. All right, folks. Well, Scott, thank you for
Sure,
sharing
my
information about
pleasure.
this. We're going to move on. We've got Diz and we've got Luke standing over there at the next smoker, and we're going to talk a little bit about that one. So, boys, I'm turning it over to you.
So Diz, this model has 2 heating elements and 2 smoke boxes to
Right.
cover the elements, which I'm sure is necessary, but you only need to put wood in one of them when you're creating the smoke, right?
That's correct. You would put no more than about 10 ounces of wood in here normally if you were cooking a full load. So the 2 wood boxes are really to protect both the heating elements from any kind of debris.
Exactly, where you could be cooking and something fall on one of them,
That's correct.
the box protects it. Well, this is awesome. I have been at a hunting lodge, one that I can remember, that had this unit. And it cooked maybe 20, 30 people at a time at the lodge. And this has the capacity to cook enough to feed a lot of people, Diz.
Yes,
it does.
it does. Again, as we mentioned, way over 100 pounds at one time, if you'd like. Someplace around 40 some odd full racks of ribs. and of course comparable amounts of any kind of game that you'd be interested in. Something we hadn't mentioned, and that is its ability to do fish. Any of the units can do fish. It's capable of a temperature from 100 to 250 degrees, and we don't have a recipe above 225, which brings up things like cold smoking salmon or cold smoking cheese. Those all can be done in any of these units.
You bet. And one thing that I have used my Smokin Tex a lot for is wild hogs curing the meat. Very simple process, but there's been a huge interest in that. The fact that you're actually making ham from wild hog hams, back legs. Cure that in a refrigerator, cure the meat, pump it, with the sodium nitrite to cure and the sugars. And I take the Smokin Tex, and what I do after it's cured, I rinse it off real good, and I'll set this at like just a very low setting, just where it'll create smoke, and I'll leave it on it. The meat is cured, so you can cook it, you can heat it at a lower temperature,
Right.
But I'll let it go 10 or 12 hours, and you talk about some really good ham from these wild hogs. So a lot of uses, Diz. Now another thing that I would like us to talk about is that I haven't used. I've made jerky, lots of jerky in mine, but I did not have the jerky. Scott, bring this over and I'd like Diz to kind of give us.
Okay.
Now, I haven't used this to make jerky, but it'll obviously put over. There's a smoke area release
Correct.
spot right here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole in the top. So this will pull the moisture out, right?
Correct. And as Luke mentioned, you can make jerky without this attachment. We call it the jerky dryer. But this thing basically is going to cut your jerky making time in half. Again, it fits all of our models. It sits on top of the smoke hole. It's got a power source. You plug it in, again, 110 like all of our models. No special wiring required. And it'll cut your jerky making time in half.
Very handy. That's one going to have to be an addition to my cooking arsenal right there. But I have made, I don't tell how many pounds of venison and jerky from wild pork that I've made in the conventional way without it. Well, folks, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Scott, and we'll take a look at some of the accessories that you can get for your Smokin Tex. Hi folks, it's your old buddy Luke Clayton, and this ain't your grandpa's pump-up air gun. This is the Texan made by Air Force Air Guns, and it's the most powerful production air gun in the world. A few years ago I started shooting these when they first came out. I actually had a chance to test. They didn't really need any testing, but to shoot one of the 10 prototypes when it first came out. Now this is the improved model. This tank pressures up to 3,625 psi. This gun will develop, I believe it's 750 foot-pounds of energy shooting a 520 grain bullet. So this is your big daddy of air guns. If you want to get into hunting or shooting air guns, you don't have to shoot a 520 grain bullet. I shoot a Nielsen specialty ammo bullet I think it's 340 grains. But here you go. Check these out online. You can go to airforceairguns.com and check them out. But this is the one I've hunted with a lot. I've probably killed 30 hogs and a bunch of exotics, and I'm going to get after the deer here in Texas this year with it. airforceairguns.com.
Well, folks, welcome back to the show. Scott's got some accessories that go along with the Smokin Tex. Now, I assume these can all be used in the different models that you carry. And as far as the racks, I'm sure there's different sizes and whatnot. But can you kind of cover the gamut of the accessories that you have here, Scott? With this?
Absolutely, Jeff. Like you mentioned, those are racks, and this, of course, is just the standard rack, and that's the way they look, and all the units feature those, and typically some combination. They'll have one of these, and this we call our seafood rack.
Okay.
It's especially handy for things like nuts or pasta, or those unusual items that you want to smoke that would just fall through the tines of a standard rack.
Right, sure.
And then I've found, because I do a lot of fish, and I like a lot of fish, we have a company make these for us now. And it's very handy because when you smoke fish, the natural inclination would be to smoke it on this. But it kind of sinks into the tines or into the weave, and it can be a bit difficult to clean. This is a Teflon coated version of this, and it's real handy too because then you can just take it out and flex it, and the fish just releases from it. And it just sits on a standard grill just like that. We're on a seafood grill like this. Now you guys, well actually, Diz and Luke were talking about cold smoking or long-term smoking, and this is our cold smoke plate, okay? And essentially, the side rails in all of the units are adjustable. They're made so you can move them about 3 inches up or this position here. With them in the lowermost position, you would simply put this in. I'm going to set it right here for now because my arms aren't long enough. But you would put it in its lowermost position there. Take that rack out, put this in. Some people like to take the drip pan, put a little ice in it, put that on top of it, put your food up here. All you have to do is just turn this on until it starts to, until it clicks, and smoke will be generated. Let it run for about 20 minutes. You see smoke come out of it, you turn it off. And that acts as a thermal barrier between the elements and the food.
I gotcha.
So you
Okay.
can truly infuse a smoke flavor into food without cooking it, without changing the internal
So that goes
temperature.
right over the smoke box, basically, is what you're saying?
Precisely,
Okay.
precisely. Now this is probably one of my favorite accessories, and this is called the flavor box. And essentially all it is a container for moisture, okay? The way the unit's designed, you're gonna cook the juiciest, most tender food you've ever eaten. But there are times when you want that environment in there, not only to have smoke, but to maybe have, like for instance, when I cook fish in it, whitefish especially, I like to put a couple sage leaves or bay leaves in a little water or wine here, and I'll get that aroma inside here and I'll taste it on the fish. So it's real handy for a flavored steam, apple juice, orange juice, wine, or beer, or something like I just described. It also can be handy when you're doing something. Now there's a lot of ways, like I said, cooking briskets or chicken or turkey, it's going to cook juicy stuff. There's a lot of fat there. But when you're cooking game, very lean, you can use this to put a little more moisture content into the cabinet. You don't want to fill it up, just a quarter to a half, of liquid, and it'll create additional steam. And I thought Diz covered the jerky dryer pretty effectively, but that is one handy little doodad there. Now these are rib hooks, okay?
Okay.
And all this is for, a lot of folks like to hang their ribs. So you put this in here, you hang the hook off of this, and then you stab this into your rib, and your ribs now cook hanging, like that. Flat on the rack, on edge. For this bigger unit, we actually make a double position kind of rack like this that you can stand the ribs on edge horizontally like that. So rib hooks, rib
allow you
rack.
to get more meat in, more racks in there, hanging them vertically, then I assume?
No, it actually probably works out to about the same.
Oh, it does? Okay.
I usually cook my ribs flat. The folks who cook them horizontal, a lot of restaurants like to do that because it keeps them from dripping on each other as much.
Okay.
The customers who hang them like this with the rib hooks say that they cook faster and they cook more consistently. It hasn't been my experience, but I sell a lot of them. People like them. And to top it off, you got to have this. You finish every one with this. So there's a lot of good barbecue sauces out there. I personally like a lot of barbecue sauces. To me, there is nothing parallel to this. If you smoke brisket with hickory wood and you heat this sauce up, I grew up in East Texas and I can't find a better combination for a smoked brisket. I like it.
Well, we certainly appreciate you guys spending some time with us today. This has been very educational, and folks, like I said, Luke and I have been using these Smokin Tex electric smokers for some time now, and they're fabulous. You guys have really put together an amazing product. And,
Thank you.
And folks, for those folks out there that are maybe in the market for a smoker, I think you need to start looking at these right here.
Call us today.
Exactly. I mean, boy, some of the meat that comes out of this stuff is fabulous. So, folks, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to wrap things up here. So, stick with us. We'll be back in a moment. Have you been successful in your hunts? If not, maybe you need to change some of the products that you're using. Today, I want to talk just a little bit about Texas raised hunting products. Luke and I use these exclusively, and we use them because why? They work. Number one, it's paramount that you cover your scent. Texas raised hunting products makes Scent Guardian. We start with this product. We spray down, and it completely eliminates any odor that you might be carrying into the woods with you. We start with this product, and they have an array of products for all hunting situations, whether it's for buck scrapes. They have the little canisters here, buck DNA. We put these out, and the animals, I mean, they react to these. We've got some sow seduction that we use, brings in both boar and sow. They work extremely well. I encourage you folks to get out there and try some of these products. Use what works. We have been very successful using these products. Again, it's Texas raised hunting products. You can find them at texasraisedhuntingproducts.com, or just as easy to reach out to catfishradio.org to learn more information about these products.
Well, folks, welcome back. We want to thank Diz, we want to thank Scott. Thank you guys so much. We're down here at Smokin Tex, and you guys have enlightened us. And of course, we already know about their products because we use it all the time, and we make some pretty good stuff, don't we?
Pretty tasty, hundreds and maybe thousands of pounds of meat cooked on the old Smokin Tex. They are the best smokers that I know about.
Again, reach out to Smokin Tex, smokintex.com. You guys can find out more information about these products, and I'm telling you what, get you one. They're fabulous. Folks, we want to thank you, as always, for joining us each week and liking and sharing our show. And we look forward to another fun and exciting venture next week on A Sportsman's Life. And gentlemen, I want to thank you both for your time.
Thanks.
And as always, thank Mr. Clayton for joining us down here. And until next week, be safe in the outdoors.